last forever. Everybody wants to rule the world. Hey guys, welcome back to the Bucket Think Tank for another round of Comic Chat. So we got a new webcam thing here. We're trying to test that out, see how that goes with its own speakers. So we're going to see how that works out. Hopefully, this will not be a disaster. But anyway, so for Comic Chat, we've got 3 books. Didn't think we had 3 books. We might even have a 4th book, depending on my mood. But let's go into it with Dawn of DC, Adventures of Superman, John Kent. Remember the title, Dawn of DC. We are in Dawn of DC. We were at least 6 months into Dawn of DC. I want you to remember that for later. So, anyway, this story starts off, we last left off with Superman having apprehended the insurgency of, Batman and his cavalcade of rebels, and preparing to execute them all as John Kent goes off somewhere. So anyway, we start off with at the Hall of Justice, I guess, and the question now is, hey, what are we going to do about John? Superman here has been very hesitant to do anything about John because he sees John as his son. He isn't. He is a version... He is a son of Superman from another Earth, from Earth Prime. But for Superman, whose entire life so far has been defined by the loss of his wife and child, this has been essentially a blind spot for him. But anyway. Superman's of the opinion that he will not interfere. Cyber's like, hey, look, even if he does, look, I've studied the Ultraman tech and whatnot. I can devise a way to send him right back to his own Earth, and we're good. So Superman doesn't want to do that, but Wonder Woman's like, okay, so look, just have that ready, okay? So what is John doing at this time? John is doing the most Kryptonian thing ever. Sitting in the sun. He is getting ready to... He's made a decision. And to make that decision, he realizes he has to be at his absolute best. He has to be more powerful than he's ever been before. So he's sat in the sun for a bit. And he's going to first take down the regime in all of its in its best form. Like, he's going to take out the best and get everybody to either stand down or take them out. So he goes to Barry, like, look, Barry, talk to me here, all right? And they have a quick conversation. John wants Barry to sit this out, all right? He has to stop this. He knows that Barry is not for what Superman's trying to do here in terms to this level. A big part of Injustice is sort of the cult of personality that Superman has garnered over the years. People will side with Superman because he's Superman. This was also played up later in the Captain America Steve Rogers story with Hydra Steve. The fact that Cap was given so much power under the SHIELD Act, and everyone else, even Falcon himself said, Sam Wilson himself said, like, hey, look, I would not support this act, but Steve Rogers being at the head of it, and Steve Rogers always on the right side of history. And Barry pretty much does what he does because he believes in Superman. As a matter of fact, the condition for Barry to sit out is like, look, if you hurt him, I will stop you. Actually, I will catch you. Make no mistake. And John is pretty sure of this because he admits, hey, Barry is the most dangerous person on the league, and he's a speedster. Barry, and especially Wally, are busted speedsters, alright? So, he convinces Barry to stand down. He does not know Hot Girl personally, so he's like, you know what? I don't know how to appeal to you. He just takes your wings, which is like a weird thing that doesn't seem to work in continuity anymore. I think after the events of Death Metal, going into the whole story with the totality of Perpetua, Shira's wings became permanent, or Kendra. I forget which one she is in this incarnation. But here, that hasn't happened yet, so he just takes her wings off like it's like a harness, so she's fine. With Hal Jordan, he doesn't know Hal either. He just takes his ring, which is a thing in Injustice. Not just Injustice, ever since New 52, when Jeff Johns had Batman do it to Green Lantern, it's been like, hey, we can just do that? We can just take the ring off? Yeah, but anyway, takes care of that. Then he has to deal with the biggest problem, and that is Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is probably not stronger than him in terms of physical strength and durability, but she's a better fighter. He cannot let this go into a actual battle skill. He has to overwhelm her with speed and strength, and what his entire plan is really just to put her as far away as possible, so that by the time she gets there, it'll all be over. He takes Lasso of Truth. He goes to talk to Damien, like, hey, Damien, I got the Lasso of Truth here. I'll let you know here, I'm not your enemy. All right, okay. I don't know what this Wonder Woman is, but she ain't the right Wonder Woman. All right, and really, I want to ask you this question: like, take this. Do you want your dad to die? Yeah. Okay. So also I'd say this: your Alfred's alive. Our Alfred's dead. He's the one whose approval you should need. Not some dictator. I'm like, not his dad's. I'm still not quite sure if John likes Bruce. Like, I'm not sure, but anyway. So then, John goes to find Superman roughing up Jay Nakamura, the Injustice iteration of John's boyfriend, and so now the showdown happens in front of the entire world. Superman of another Earth versus the Superman of this Earth. And Superman's like, you broke the man? Yeah, I did. And Superman's like, you've no idea what you've done. And John, I've stopped a public execution, alright? He's not overthinking it. And that is John's sort of thing here. He doesn't overthink, he doesn't think about the consequences of it. He sees something needs to be done, and he does it. But, Superman points this out here. You've been on this Earth, 5 minutes? You think you know what the right thing to do is? Or do you have an idea what he's lost, what he's done to protect everything? And he points this out. You like this guy. Like, he's your friend. If I killed him, what would you do? Alright? He said, I would do whatever it takes to make you face justice and no more. And that's a good way to look at it. Oddly enough, despite him not really seeming to like Batman, that's what Batman does. But anyway, he's like, you really think that's what you'll do? You really think you're stronger than anger, stronger than grief? And he's like, Superman has to be stronger than. I'm like, superheroes have to be, I think, ultimately, but that's a conversation we'll have at the end. So anyway, Superman's like, okay, fine, let's put it to the test, and snaps his arm. So John, going into like his ultra mode, goes in like, yeah, let's go. He charges him. Superman's like, yeah, let's go, man, let's go. And John's response is to be John and hug it out. I'm like, what kind of Steven Universe mess is this? Like, I get it. Alright. And he hugs him. I'm sorry for what was happened to you. I'm sorry for what the Joker did. But, you didn't deserve that would happen to you. Alright? You did not deserve that. Alright? But you realize you've gone too far. You have to face justice. No matter how powerful, no matter how much influence you hold, powerful people must also be held accountable. And showing that the law applies to everyone. I'm like, what the hell? First of all, that entire sentence has nothing to do with anything. Alright? Because I'm trying to think about, like, what is that there for? Alright? Like, the whole point is, regardless of what Superman's going through, he does not have the right to impose his worldview on the entire planet. That's kind of it. Like, you're powerful, you have to be held accountable. If Superman is the dominant authority, he's done nothing wrong. You'd have to prove what the regime was, what the insurgency was trying to do. Not just prove that Superman is a corrupt dictator and sway public opinion. People support Superman. All right, it's just how that works. Not a lot, not an overwhelming majority, but enough that there is a problem. So anyway, so after trying to hug it out, going all Steven Universe vibes, Superman does my favorite thing here and says, "You sanctimonious." Oh, that's a swear. Oh, just like, get up, fight. Or he's like, no, I'm not giving you what you want, man. No, you want to fight. That's all you want to do. All right, no matter how much you want, I'm not gonna do that. All right. And he says, why won't you? Because I'm Superman. And Superman has to stand for something more. He can't just be a fighter. And so John pulls out the Lois Lane, the one thing Superman is never ready for. Superman's Lois, it's pretty much the recording she left for John, but really it's leaving out the John part for the most part. It's just pretty much Lois talking about how he is the best of everything, he has better than everything. Like, he's faced all this hatred and torture at the hands of Ultraman, and he's still willing to save him. So it's sort of weird, as if we're trying to say, if Superman was Superman, despite what he did, Superman wouldn't kill the Joker. And maybe, but I would say, you know what, we'll save that for the end. Anyway, this breaks Superman, alright? And before anything can happen, John starts to fade because Cyborg built the gun. For some reason, John did not think he had to deal with the black guy. I want you all to think about that. Nah, I'm kidding. John's too progressive to be outwardly racist. It's all internal. But anyway, no. It's because by default, Cyborg has to be able to build the gun that sends him back to his Earth. That's kind of it. It's lazy. Either that or John does not think Cyborg is a threat. And look what happened. Look what happened, John. Congratulations. So anyway, he gets sent. As he fades away, he's like a message like, hey, Superman has to be better, and I want you to think about what happened here. I want you to try to be better, and all that jazz. And we know it doesn't happen for one important reason. Alfred is alive in this story. In Injustice, that bastard there, that Superman, will have Alfred killed. Alright? As it's being said now, canon event. Unless we think it's going to create a splinter timeline, in which case, if you've seen anything with time travel, this group here is still screwed. But anyway, after giving all the la-di-da, the hoppity-hoopity, about, hey, be better, look back on this, we then have John arrive back on his Earth, and he sort of realizes, like, I get it now. Why Dad doesn't do more. Not because it's hard, because it's too much work, because it's too easy. It's too easy to just go in and make people do something. Alright, it's much better, and, well, he doesn't get to come to the conclusion because he realizes, hey, something's going on. It's either the fact that he arrived in the Night Terrors event, or his other events coming up soon that I don't care about. But anyway, I don't care about Night Terrors either, so whatever. So ultimately, Avengers of Superman John Kent tries to really sort of hammer home what works about John as he sits here in the Injustice universe and sort of chastises everyone. Like, he really sort of does. Like, he chastises the regime, he chastises the insurgency, and some of these are, I think, really good critiques, especially towards Harley. To Batman, I don't think that's entirely fair. Like, look, there's a good argument to be made against Batman and Injustice. In the same way there's an argument to make against Captain America and Civil War. Alright? But this entire story is framed for you to not root for Injustice Superman. But the problem is, like a good story, like the Civil War comic, and even to an extent the Civil War movie, there's a conversation to be had about the strengths of that other position. Because in Injustice, okay, so let's first of all point out the fact that, was Superman right to kill the Joker? Alright, because that's really what this comes to, alright? Everyone will say, like, he shouldn't have killed the Joker. Grant Morrison wrote, I had an interview, like, I don't quite buy this whole evil Superman, like Injustice Superman, like, he becomes a dictator after, his wife dies. I'm like, my parents died, I didn't become a dictator. I'm like, Grant, that's not what happened. It's not what happened. Like, look, I'm all for a critique of Injustice Superman, as well as the evil Superman trope, because, truth be told, it probably is an outdated trope. Well, it's an overused trope, not outdated. But, let's point out what happened to Injustice Superman. After being tricked by the Joker into killing his pregnant wife, that then sets off a bomb that blows up Metropolis. Alright? So, literally, his entire world, minus his parents, is gone because of him. Alright, Batman has had to deal with that. The worst thing Joker's ever done to Batman, canonically, consistently across the board, is shoot Barbara Gordon in the spine, crippling her for life, or not, depending on the story, or the continuity, and killing Jason Todd. And Jason came back. Alright? Batman made the choice that those two things, depending on your story, killing Joker, it's kind of accepted that he did kill the Joker. That wasn't good enough reason to kill the Joker. And honestly, I respect Batman for that, because he held to a moral code even when it inconvenienced him. But at the same time, I don't fault Superman for killing the Joker. Okay? Because, yeah, this is too big a sacrifice. Alright, this is too big. Too much was taken from him. To expect him to be okay is unfair. To expect Superman to not do this is unfair. Superman is not a god. He isn't. There are actual gods in this universe. Alright? To expect Superman to be better than everybody is unfair. You are saying that he is a symbol first and a character not even second. Alright? As pro Batman good lord, I'm fed up with all y'all. I don't fault him for this. I don't. And there would be a time in comic books when no one would fault Superman for this. It's what he does afterwards. That's the problem. And the beauty of what he does afterwards is it's all framed to be a good thing. Because, really, he'd have just stopped after killing the Joker. What happened? He found out the world is still a messed up place. Alright? He found there were issues he was not addressing, which sort of implies that Superman in this universe is a bad Clark Kent. But, whatever. He goes in, he stops these two warring factions, he legit grabs the generals, strips them naked, here you go. There you go. Alright? He deposes government officials, government leaders, deposing presidents. And this is probably the worst thing to do. Yeah, it stops the fighting, but it doesn't stop the issues. This is the bigger problem, is that you don't stop the structural issues that created this. The systemic problems, and I hate to use that word because it tends to be used a bit much. But yeah, that is the problem. And at the same time, we'll come back to John in a second. And then he gets goaded by Wonder Woman the whole time. Wonder Woman whispering in his ear, encouraging this madness. That is what happens here. Alright? Demons run when a good man goes to war. Alright? So yeah, that's it. Now coming back to this, because this is what we're all here for. This was, in a lot of ways, an attempt to have John look at what he'd done in his own book. Alright? I was on Facebook, and I totally didn't know this came out. I totally didn't know this came out. The Comixology is just done, really, because these alerts are terrible. So John, in his own book, had a very sanctimonious approach to everything. He was like, you guys have to let these refugees in. You guys have to do this, do that, do A, B, C, or D. But he never offers a solution to them. Like, so he drops the refugees off in Metropolis. So, going by the context presented, those refugees did not enter at a point of entry, at a legal point of entry, all right, or asylum seekers. So, by default, they more likely would have to be arrested because it is a crime to enter a country legally. Even seeking asylum, you have to enter at a point of entry. So John messed up by doing the right thing, but doing it badly. And the story doesn't call him out for it. It's like, it didn't matter that you did it wrong. What matters is you did the right thing. Alright? This is lazy. Tom Taylor dropped the ball with that entire story because really, the idea that John should be doing more, and then the story encourages him to do it on all points, that I recall, maybe after issue 10, there was some more nuance in the story. But whatever, I'm not going to spend more money on a story that I'm not really enjoying. But that nuance is important because it makes John a better character. So anyway, in Injustice, in John's attempt to face Ultraman, his abuser, who he's just really going to stop from killing other people, which is great. The fact that John is facing his abuser and saying, I'm not going to kill him, I'm just going to stop him, that points for that. But coming to face with Injustice Superman, he seems kind of flippant, like, yeah, I know that happened to you, but you should know. I think really what should have happened is there should have been a reporter. Like a legit reporter. Like John should have taken the role of reporter. Like John and Jay. Alright, this Jay, who could be like the best version of Jay Nakamura, with solid hair, still gay, but whatever, and still, going through the story, like holding this Superman to account, putting himself in danger because John Kent, Superman, inspired him to stand up to power. All right, that would mean that John was more of a Superman than just Superman, because what was mentioned in Injustice was that this Superman no longer inspires people, no longer inspires people to be better, to do better. They're afraid. They don't want to do better. They don't want to do worse, to be sure, but they do not feel inspired to do anything. Fascism stagnates, or there was no progress under fascism, or there was no social change under fascism. Things don't get better under fascism. You just get to somewhat survive. You don't get to thrive under fascism. And John has sort of realized here that, hey, this is why Dad said he doesn't do more. All right, well, I said, like, Dad, why don't you do more? I'm like, yeah, I didn't quite get it, because it's a slippery slope. Like, with great power comes great responsibility, said Uncle Ben to Peter Parker. The idea is that Superman has to be careful not to impose his will. He can only inspire, he can guide, he can help out when he can, but he cannot go on and tell these people what to do. He can't make them do anything, because it's too risky, too dangerous, because then all of a sudden he's leading armies. And Superman doesn't want to do that. And John Kent realized he doesn't want to do that either. The problem is this entire story doesn't do anything with that. Like, you don't see John faced with stuff that Superman did, like holding Congress hostage. Like, he had Barry Allen and Hal Jordan go down there and hold Congress hostage. Alright? He dropped Atlantis, alright, onto the desert, and pretty much held it hostage to stop the war. And like, you would say, well, that was a good thing. No, because really, it's just weird. It's just weird. This is another Tom Taylor story in the fact that there's a lot of great potential here that for one reason or another he didn't meet. And maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. This was possibly the best John Kent's been, and I still think he needed work. Alright? The story of John Kent learning exactly how to be a superhero, I think, was ruined by the fact that he got to wear the S. Because either he has to realize the importance that comes with that S, or the privileges that come with that S, and he has to meet those privileges. Because like I said, when you wear that S, you're automatically assumed to be on the right side. And John hasn't realized that responsibility and that power. Or maybe not. Maybe I should just shut up. Anyway, let's move on. We spent a good lord, it's probably too long as it is. That was 20, oh my, it was 20 minutes. Okay, sorry, let's go on to our next one. Another Superman story, Superman, Last Days of Lex Luthor. This was a story I didn't think I was going to read. Alright, but it was a slow week, and, you know, it's another Mark Waid story with possibly my least favorite good artist, Brian Hitch, but for no other reason than he is notoriously behind on his deadlines, either as an artist or a writer, but whatever. So anyway, The Last Days of Lex Luthor has a great setup, alright? First, we get a look at the past, where Clark is at the Daily Planet, typity, and he's remembering something from his childhood, because remember, Lex and Clark both grew up in Smallville. And it's like, sort of like, you know, he's trying to reach Lex and saying he's sorry, he's trying to get him to let him in. And at the same time, while remembering this, Clark writes his article, The Last Days of Lex Luthor. So, this starts off with a giant mech attacking some poor city, causing all kinds of chaos, being stopped by Superman, and it turns out this is Lex Luthor. And Lex did all this to talk to Superman, like, hey, can we talk? I was trying to get you a hold of you. Superman's like, the audacity. Alright, so anyway, like, hang on. He got to stop these earthquakes. He caused, like, this tremor here with his heat vision to stop the earthquakes. Really great. I think it's a great look to show exactly how Superman approaches these things. Superman is a scientist, but I think he's more equatable to an engineer. And in fact, that he knows how to manipulate the planet and whatnot to stop disasters and whatnot. It's actually really cool, this side of Superman. So, he finally, like, apprehends Lex, like, what the hell is wrong with you, man? Alright? How many corpses were in here? Like, he even killed the team that built this mech. Alright, so he's like, hey, look, use your vision, look at me. You're like, oh my god, Lex is dying. Alright? And what happens? Well, Lex was like, so I was experimenting with kryptonite again, and some stuff happened, and I got bombarded with a whole bunch of radiation and whatnot. And yeah, I have days left to live. Luckily, it's not contagious. And the whole time I'm thinking, Lex, why do you keep messing with kryptonite? All right. In one story, it like messed up your hand, like you had to lose your hand. In the Justice League Unlimited cartoon, it was killing you, and now here it is again. So Lex, why are you a bad scientist? All right. It is radioactive. All right. Where's your proper radiation dealing? Where's your hazmat suit? Like you could avoid all this with a hazmat suit. All right, but no, you're Lex Luthor. All right. Oh my god. This is why Batman is smarter than you, Lex. So, anyway, he like, I want you to cure me. I want you to find a cure, and he's like, why? Why would you ask me? Because you will. All right, look, I am not the nicest person. I've done some things, sure, but you have always valued every life. All right, even mine. So, put up or shut up, Superman. Save me. And I love this grin on his face. I'm like, yeah. And he agrees to do it. And he's like, look, I'd like it if you didn't tell anybody. But I was like, yeah, too late. He was streaming this. Like, he was recording this, gone off to everyone. The entire planet has heard that right after Lex has effectively attempted a terrorist attack, Superman is going to save him. He's like, he's not going to jail. He's not doing it. Like, no, we're going to go save you. I'm like, the hell is this? Everyone's like, the hell, Superman? Alright, this is not good for his PR. I'd hate to be Superman's PR campaign. And essentially, Lex did do this because of the double-edged sword. Alright? He would have guilted him into saving him one way or another. Even Perry's like, damn it, Luthor, alright, people, this is a story. We gotta print this. So, then we get to a bit of a flashback to the times in Smallville. This is pretty much after Lex says there's no one else like him, no one who really cares about him, and or who relates to him. And Clark's really like, I related to you. You know, I wanted to be your friend. And what's interesting about them as kids is that Lex was super smart. But the problem is he felt he never had to explain himself or ask for permission to do anything. Lex's ego has always been the worst part of him. Like, he fixes someone's tractor. So, like, you know, converting it to solar. He's a blue-collar farmer. He's a blue-collar farmer. What does he know? I'm not saying, like, farmers are stupid, but for the time period here, what is he going to know about solar? All he knows is you're messing with his tractor, which is his livelihood. Alright? So he goes off, and young Clark tries to explain to Lex, like, hey, I talked to him about what you did, and he's like, okay with it. And Clark tries to bond with Lex over the asteroid, over this meteor that's going through. And it turns out this meeting wasn't scheduled, but Clark went down and, you know, kicked one around. So, like, hey, I found this one. And all Lex think about is, you should find a way to claim credit for it because you did it. He can't just enjoy something. He needs to be acknowledged. He needs to be credited for what he does. His genius has to be acknowledged. And that's a disconnect. But at the same time, it's something both he and Clark have in common. Lex feels he shouldn't have to hide who he is. Clark feels he needs to, or rather he's been told that he needs to because, well, you all saw Man of Steel. It was a valid point to an extent. Alright? But anyway, so Clark trying to realize that he wants to connect with Lex on some way. He's trying to figure out how to do it. So, anyway, Superman takes Lex to the Fortress of Solitude, which in some comics he's been to, some comics he hasn't been to, whatever. So anyway, he takes him down to the bottle city of Kandor, and we get an explanation of Kandor. For those of you that don't know, Kandor was, let me see, make sure I'm getting this right, because I will lose so many points for this. Alright. It is not here. So Kandor is a city from Krypton that was shrunk down by Brainiac into a bottle, shrunk down to avoid its destruction, and since then, Superman's had it. I think it was called Superman Last Son. I think it was called Superman Last Son, and I think it was also Brainiac's introduction. Superman takes the Bottle City and has been trying to find a way to restore it ever since. There's a story actually where he does, and it's a really great story. Superman Krypton. Really great story. But anyway, so Superman takes Lex here, and like, you know, the advanced technology of Krypton, you know, the brightest minds in the universe, one of them anyway, and they're like, yeah, nothing we can do, nothing we can do. Like, your body is messed up. All right. So anyway, so Superman's like, okay, so I got an idea. What if, now hear me out, I put you in the Phantom Zone. All right, like, look, you will be like basically preserved in this state here, which gives them time to find a cure. Huh? Best of both worlds. You're out of my hair. You know, you get to not die, and they get time to make a cure. Huh? So he talks about how the Phantom Zone, it's really like a mental prison, and that if you focus well enough, you can have a solid form and interact with stuff. But this is all interrupted by General Zod showing up like, hey, Superman, this is my army. We're going to mess you up. And so they go in, like, Lex, help me, because in reality, Superman's powers don't work in the Phantom Zone. So which means Zod's powers don't work in the Phantom Zone. So none of their powers work in the Phantom Zone. So anyway, Lex comes in with, I guess he had a knife? Like, does Lex stay ready? I guess he does. He holds Zod hostage on to call him off. And really, what's hilarious about this is Lex is saying, like, look, your desire to kill him is not better than my plan to kill him later. And everyone's like, what? You want to kill him? We had him. Why did you not want us to kill him? Pretty much like, look, because my plan is better. Even though your plan was definitely going to work right then and there. So, Zod and his forces use their mental energy to kick him out of the Phantom Zone. Lex has been kicked out of Purgatory. Because he's too insufferable. So, yeah, there we go. It's like, okay, we gotta find another way to do this. Alright, so, the sign is like, so, dude, I know about Lex. I think you've done enough. You can let him die, or you can just leave it be. You can just leave it all be. Alright, you've done more than is requested of anybody. He's like, no, I probably have, but... And then we get another memory of that same scene, where apparently Superman, Clark, is apologizing to Lex for whatever happened. And that's how the comic ends. So, ultimately, Superman Last Days Lex Luthor is, I think, a fun story. It is sort of like something that would not happen in Batman's story. Like, if Joker is dying, Batman would be like, so how is that my problem? Alright, there you go. Make peace with your gods. Alright. Who's up for paw cheese? Now, if Joker has to find a way to make Batman care. Alright? And Arkham City was whole like, hey, look, I'm dying. I've injected you with that blood, so you're dying. That was like, unbothered. I go, you go, whatever. Alright? Then, like, well, I've also poisoned Gotham. Like, my blood's going to, like, hospitals all over Gotham City, so thousands of people will die. And it's like, okay, fine. I'll save you. Now, at the end of it all, push came to shove, Batman does not have it in him to watch anyone die. Alright? That is, he just can't do it. Alright? If he can save someone, he will. Even if it's the Joker. But he's not going to lose any sleep over that. He's like, hey, Bats? I have terminal cancer. I've only got like 3 days left to live, Bats. Oh. Okay. Bye. That's kind of it. All Batman do is like check to make sure he actually is dead. Like, hang on. Alright, he's dead. Incinerate the body. There we go. That's kind of it. But overall, this was still a really fun story. This is apparently, you can view this as a successor sequel series to Superman Birthright. So I think that's fun. I haven't read Birthright in a while. That story was the basis for Zack Snyder's, well, one of the bases for Zack Snyder's Superman and Lex Luthor. Well, mostly it's Lex Luthor. Overall, this was fun. I like seeing Mark Waid do anything other than be on Twitter. But anyway, so let's go on to our next one. This is the one, remember, the dawn of DC. Remember, I told you that. I want you to remember the dawn of DC. So here we are now, and Justice Society of America. So, anyway, this is the penultimate issue. We are going to deal with a lot here, but at the same time, not a lot. So anyway, and we last left off with the story. Degaton was revealed that he was going through and trying to kill the Justice League, Justice Society, and also use this power to pretty much create a Nazi JSA, which is like frightening in every way, shape, and form, which will then find horribly, horribly change everything. But anyway, using wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff, he's made things worse. So anyway, Huntress has gone back in time. Well, not back in time, not in the present day, but gone to the past to tell her dad, Batman, everything that's happened, including his death. And like, first of all, this is time travel. Technically, is not your dad. So, in this sort of weird, at some point, continuity, Helena Wayne will be born to the parents of Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle. Alright? We know this because it's happened in Earth 2. We know that because in the Earth Prime, under Tom King, Helena is a character that exists. Or Helena Wayne is the daughter of Bruce and Selina, which appears to be the worst marriage relationship I've seen in comics in a while. Then again, I haven't read Invincible or watched it. I need to. I have Invincible. Why haven't I read it yet? But anyway, Batman being Batman is like, so that was a terrible... Look, I get it. You're my daughter. But you realize you just time traveled and told me my future. Alright, you've realized you've created a massive paradox, right? Alright, have you not seen any time travel story ever? Alright? Jesus. Alright. You can't be my daughter. My daughter would not be this stupid. Well, he didn't say that, but oh my god, that would be hilarious. So anyway, this is all interrupted by the arrival of Madam Mommy Xanadu, Power Girl, and you know what? Wildcat might be a looker as well as this new Dr. Midnight, but I can't tell. So anyway, so they come through like, okay, you know what? Now that she's been altered by your daughter, this snow globe is the thing keeping her from ceasing to exist. Alright, so the snow globe is more like a stabilizer for time travelers. As she travels through and alters time, it keeps her sort of secured in the timeline. In other words, the events here will... Batman may or may not, on some subconscious level, maybe at an active level, may stop his relationship with Selina Kyle from leading to the creation of Helena Wayne. Alright? Anyway. So, while they're all talking about this, Batman's, hey, where'd you get that snow globe? And he's like, so you recognize the snow globe, alright? The globe that you stole from the Time Masters to try and save your father? Yeah, there's a whole lot of power here. And then Degaton shows up like, hey guys, that's powerful, but not as comparable as mine, alright? And Devin's like, I got this, gang. One little body hop and this time travel will be a puppet. He's like, okay, which body, bitch? There you go. So, like, all of me is coming through. He's basically looked at Master Zen like, he played Kingdom Hearts like, Xehanort's going around bringing a whole bunch of himself to cause some trouble. I could do that. And he really does because in Germany, when they're looking for something Degaton has touched, they can tether him through. They're met by a child. Degaton is like, hey, I'm here to mess you up. And so this leads to this huge fight that they're going through. Like, so Dr. Fate is also an anomaly because that helmet and everything exists throughout history, which is why he'd been going around killing Dr. Fates. So he can shield people from him. But Madame Xanadu also says, like, it's happening, he's going to win, and the world will be his. And we see this entire horrible reality he's going to create. The Reich will rise again. And the problem with the JSA is they don't start lacking. You show them an unending world, an unending doom. You show them no hope, they rise up. Alright, like, nah, fight harder, and the JSA fights harder. Alright? Dr. Fate comes in clutch. Alright? He gets the medal. We get generations of JSA coming in here. We got different Flashes, different Power Girls. Like, good God, we got different Power Girls. We got the Spectre. We got different Alan Scotts. We got Hawkman, Hawkgirl, Hawkwoman, Hawkman, Hawkbro, Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We got Jakeem Williams, JJ Thunder, with his genie. And do we even have the white one? I always forget his name. I'm sorry. We got like some weird little ginger in the background. We got Atom Smasher. It's great. We got the Red Lantern. Yeah, it's weird there's a Red Lantern in the JSA. But anyway, that's probably going to be a book. So, they come through past, present, future's like, we ain't afraid of Degaton. We ain't afraid of Degaton. Get dick down, Degaton. I don't know what I'm doing. So they come through. Khalid's like, hey, we got the medal? We got the medal. All right. So, past, present, future Dr. Fate, seal him up. And they put him in the globe. So now he's stuck with the Flashpoint, Batman, Robin, and Joker. Really great way to tie all this in. I love it. I love it. Okay, so everything's good. The timelines are resetting. Everyone's going back to their respective timeline, except Helena. All right. So because you decided to mess with the timelines, all right, she is now a paradox, an anomaly. All right, and there are others like her, like the Prime Earth Power Girl is an anomaly. Like, she should not be there. She's from Earth 2. I don't even know what's going on with Earth 2 now. So she's like, she can't go back, and she's like, well, I guess Dad'll take me, and she sees him go. She can't stay here. All right. And to be fair, there's some merit to that. His daughter from the future, from an event that hasn't happened yet. All right? No. Get her out of here. Get her out of here. Go. And it's messed up, sure. But, it's just messed up. It is. Like, I could probably make a case for Batman. The timelines. It's also just really uncomfortable. Because, like, Bruce and Selina are not in a good spot now, from my point of view. Like, I'm pretty sure this Bruce Wayne is still broke because of the events that Selina took part in. And then she seemed to just, like, want to dump him afterwards. Like, she's like, look, he's broke now. I don't need to talk to him anymore. That's sort of what it feels like. And then she's also just sleeping around still. She's sleeping with other dudes. All right? So, yeah, they are not in a good spot. So, meanwhile, at the Brownstone, the best place in DC, all right? They're talking about, so what are we going to do with all these time and not? Time has changed now. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Like things like, our history has changed. We got this other Huntress, Helena person going through. And it's all interrupted by someone calling out Dad. And what happened? My favorite speedster, Judy Garrick. Oh, she's like, you know what? I bet our man can shed some light on this. And this is how it ends. And they say, like, so begins the dawn of DC. I'm like, wait. At least 6 months have used the Dawn of DC imprint. Alright, that Dawn of DC little logo that's been on top of all these comics has been there. So why are we just now starting the Dawn of DC? What is the Dawn of DC? I think that's the problem. But anyway, this is how the comic ends. Ultimately, I like this. It's apparently one more issue, which I do like. Hopefully there's one more issue. If not, then I think this is an alright place to end it. I don't quite feel the magnitude of what Jeff Johns was saying in the interview about the JSA. I think his other stories with the JSA have done, like his last big JSA project, I think really did sell that home. Like the impact of the JSA, the importance of legacy. I think that did a better job. But whatever. I think this is still fine. This is pretty much the conclusion of DC Rebirth, going into Doomsday Clock, going into Flashpoint Beyond, in here. This is presumably what the entirety of DC Rebirth was supposed to lead to. In other words, the events of DC Rebirth were to lead to the Manhattan issue. The leftovers from the Manhattan issue were supposed to lead into Flashpoint Beyond. And then that leads to Stargirl and the Lost Children and to the JSA. And then these other stories. I think the issue is that at some point it sort of just fell apart. Which we all kind of knew. Like, if you were reading this whole thing, we saw Rebirth start to fall apart, start to crumble at the seams a bit here. Like, the cracks were really starting to show, then they got bigger and bigger. It was just a weird time. And the Doomsday Clock came in with its delays. Like, there was some sort of decision that Doomsday Clock was not going to be the big event it was supposed to be. And I think if this is the last one, then I really need to work on my rewrite for the entirety of the DC universe, from Rebirth to, I guess, Dawn of DC. And how I would do it, but that's neither here nor there. Also, the JSA were like a big part of Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. So there's that. Ultimately, though, I just don't know what was going through the heads here. I'm not sure how she feel about Helena Wayne. I felt for her in the beginning, but she seems to just sort of make bad decisions. Like, what is the JSA? I think really all she said is it's a team of a legacy of superheroes. But I don't think we're seeing what that legacy means. All we're seeing is, hey, this is a lantern. There was a lantern here, there was a lantern there. There's a speedster here, speedster there. That's no different than the Justice League at that point. What makes the JSA different from the Justice League? Jeff Johns has told stories that really shows that. The JSA is a community. The JSA is the fairy tale of DC. It really is. Like the fairy tale manga. Or like you see, if you remember, like if you read the fairy tale manga, or you would see these huge scenes of just the entire guild just being a family, or just being there. There are moments in the Jeff Johns JSA run where you will see that, and it's great. Alright, that is what the JSA is. But anyway, I think we've ranted enough. It's been almost 50 minutes. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. So anyway, with that in mind, this brings to a close. If you're new to the Bucket Think Tank, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. Smash that thumbs up button. Do it. Be a pal. I do it for you. And I'll catch you all later. This is Bucket Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching. As always, may your fandom serve you well.